What's going on, Atlanta? It's your favorite cup of tea, Teacup. We are here for another episode of Spill the Tea TV. Now, this interview is very special to me because this is an artist that I've been following for probably about, I want to say like 5 years now.
Has it been that long?
It has been this long. I've known of you since 2014, 15. Yep, it's been about that long. Yeah. Let them know who you are and where we can find you on social media.
I'm Money Makin Nique. I'm Money Makin Nique on everything too. MonyMakinNique.
That's money making without the G.
Without the G, yes. But yeah, that's pretty much everywhere. You know, I had cut the money making.
Okay.
So lately we've been releasing records as just Nique.
Just Nique.
But I mean, I ain't want to confuse people. So when you look me up on streaming, it's still pretty much Money Makin Nique. But
okay,
for those who know, they know.
Okay, so on Apple, it's still Money Makin Nique, but
yeah, I mean,
you go by.
Now, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna get into that because I know you have a history with the Money Makin Bros.
Yep.
So when I first got hip to you, Nique, I want to say this was probably around that time, 2014, 15. I saw the Extra EP floating across Twitter, going crazy with you and Johnny Cinco. So that's how I was introduced to you. It was a really short project. I fought with like all the songs on there. I remember doing a write-up on Urban 365. That was a radio station I was with, and you guys had that project together. And then I remember everybody was like, oh, well, the whole city rocking with Nique, and I remember getting introduced to the cookouts and coming out, and I had to go back and listen to Guyana Gold.
Okay.
And I remember you had Key on there, and you had Mariba on there. Yeah. Rome Fortune, just a lot of people that's still doing big things as well. So yes, just tell us about who is Money Makin Nique.
Money Makin Nique, first and foremost, is a hustler. I pretty much focus on, just trying to, and this is pretty much what my music is really centered around is, survival, ascension, to come up, making a way out of no way. That's pretty much, I would say that's pretty much my journey, like the way we came up, everything we've been doing, everything that everybody has been seeing from us in terms of events, music, like everything you say has just been on an account of us.
Okay.
If I could describe myself, I would say a hustler.
Okay.
I would say a hustler.
And when you say we, of everything we've been doing, like elaborate a little bit on we to my viewers.
So we is referring to not only myself but to the Money Makin Brothers, which consists. It's a lot of guys. I don't want to. Don't give me the line because I'll be done left somebody out. But I know the main guys. So my guys like Katie, Jers,
Young
Bo, Sino. It's a gang of us. Don't get mad at me because I left you out, my nigga. We'll be here all day.
Hey man, we only got a short period of time, so he just gonna stick to the collective as a whole. Wait, would you say it's a collective? Would you say it's a collective, a gang, just friendships? Like, what would you say? How would you describe yourselves?
Okay, so the Money Makin Brothers is pretty much, I guess you could call it a collective. That's actually the perfect word. But when we started in like 2009, I started it in 2009 with the intention of it just being a lifestyle brand.
Okay.
Stretching out the different shit. So, music, we do events, we might do art, we might curate art events. Like that's pretty much the gist of it, clothing, everything. It's what I originally set out to do was I wanted to create something that a group of us could really pull from in terms of resources.
Okay.
So a resource pool. So at some point, we intend for Money Makin Brothers to be an entity where, all right, if homie want to go start a barbershop where he could pull from, what we done set up. If they could branch out based off what we've built.
Okay.
That's the main intent. The main thing being music, but also doing other things like events, the Paid in Full picnic, or
yes, I love the Paid in Full. Yes,
people might know us for the Henny parties that we used to do. But yeah, I mean, trying to be multifaceted,
Okay, but you said just earlier that you were dropping the Money Makin Bros. Now, if you all have these plans as a group together, what would be the reason you're going by just Nique now?
So the thing with I don't necessarily feel I have to be Money Makin Nique to associate myself with the Money Makin Brothers.
Okay.
And what I mean by that basically is like I wanted something, I'm not gonna say we switching it up, but at the same time, I want to do something different in terms of like presentation.
Okay.
So I just thought that I would drop the Money Makin. Nique sounds more grown, it's more general, it appeals more. But at the same time, I'm not going to downplay anybody trying to refer to me as Money Makin Nique. I don't want to confuse nobody, especially not right now.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Now, I know when I listen to your music, I kind of thought of you as like a up north nigga, kind of, I don't want to say trapped in the South, but like a up north nigga that's like in the South. Yeah. So where are you from? And like, who are some of like your inspirations, you know what I'm saying, coming up?
So I done been in Atlanta, Georgia since I was 12.
Okay.
Right? Originally, I'm from Springfield, Massachusetts.
Okay.
But my family's from Brooklyn.
Okay.
So I don't know, that influence has just always been there. But, I mean, I call the West Side home. I've been here since I was a kid.
Okay.
But, I mean, when you listen to my music, I guess you can hear everything. You know what I mean?
That's how I feel.
What I try to do is I try to draw from different things in childhood, different things I've been through. I try to keep everything factual. I try to keep, even if it's, I don't know, it might sound outlandish, but it's still factual, you know. It just depends on what you ask me about. But yeah, I mean, in terms of just like subject matter, in terms of what we be talking about, everything is relative to real life. And when I say we, I don't just mean me, but like, you know, Bose, you know, MMB, you know, it's pretty much, I would say it's lifestyle, but it's real to life. But I mean, yeah, to answer your question, just I'm originally from Massachusetts, came down here when I was 12, and I've been here ever since.
Okay. Now, coming from Massachusetts, coming down here, when did you get into music? Like, when was that point that you said, okay, I'm going to start this as a career?
Nah, I was already into music. So when I got here, I probably been rapping since I was about 7, 8 years old.
Okay.
That might be another reason why you hear the influence, because I started rapping up there. So It wasn't like I came down here and then, you know, just decided to start up. But I would guess definitively when I made the ultimate decision to hop into music full-fledged, I would say right around the time I was 15, 16, yeah.
Okay, is that when you met the Money Makin Bros, or no? How did you all come together?
Yeah, so how we met, me and Bo been knowing each other since middle school, right? I went to middle school, but we went to Brown.
Is Bo from Atlanta? I know.
Yeah, Bo from the West Side, just like me.
Okay.
So I've been knowing Bo since I was 12 years old. I met Sino through a girl, and then me and KD at the time, KD was throwing the biggest parties on the East, and I was throwing the biggest parties on the West. How the conversation even initially ended up happening is we were supposed to do a party together.
Okay.
So I didn't really even know him like that. I knew him through mutual friends. We knew a lot of the same people. But basically, when we initially linked up, it was like, yo, we're going to do this event.
So you were already doing events when you met KD?
Yeah, so I've been throwing parties since high school.
Okay.
And I guess that's how he even initially heard about me, through somebody else. But, you know, when we met, I want to say we met officially at a Broken Bougie party way back when. I want to say like 09, had to be like 08, 09.
Okay, that's before I was coming outside, but I heard a lot about the Broken Bougie era.
Yeah, so, I mean, we was young then too, but, you know, it was new to us, but at the same time, I guess with the concept, we had never seen anything like that before. So
what was the concept? Like, explain to the viewers that may not know.
I mean, for me, it was a party that kind of played a lot of the shit that I couldn't hear anywhere else. Okay. That's what it was for me. So a lot of the shit that I might have grew up hearing, you know, when we made the transition down here, we didn't necessarily, you know, the landscape changed naturally, so the music changed. But, you know, you could go to that party and they'd have like DiBiase or somebody, or Speaker Fox maybe, spinning, you know what I mean? And it wasn't abnormal to hear, you know, shit like from up top, shit from West Coast, shit from really all over the globe. So that's initially what attracted me about it. And then they had the photo booth. Okay. And I think I heard about that. Yeah, prior to them doing it, I don't think nobody had really thought to do that. Okay. And then there was professional pictures. That's when Facebook was hot. So it's like if you was
that makes sense, because Facebook was hot around 2009.
Yeah, if you was having that grade of picture right around that time, yeah, niggas is looking like, what you doing? What's that?
Yeah, you know? I heard it was a thing. Like, it was a thing that you had to get a Broken Bougie picture to like post on your Facebook the next day.
It was just the cool shit to do. It's like, man, y'all niggas ain't really going out. Y'all niggas ain't really partying unless y'all got one of them. And then us coming from the hood to the hood niggas, we looking like, what's that? So yeah, I mean, it was fun. But you know, I say that to say we met. I want to say I started. I'm not even sure how that popped off initially.
You're not sure how the Money Makin Bros popped off?
How we met was, well, no, I ain't gonna say that. How me and KD linked and decided to do. So he has something called Paperboy. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, Paperboy. And he still has Paperboy.
Well, yeah, you're right. initially, I was supposed to be an artist on Paperboy.
Okay.
Paperboy ended up splitting up. And,
Okay.
You know, at the time, I was already working on Money Makin Brothers. And then that's kind of when I had just brought forward the idea of like, yo, let's just do this full-fledged. And that's pretty much when they signed on. I want to say that was 2010.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to say around 2010, 2011, this is when I finally started coming outside.
Okay.
It was this huge thing, you guys. A lot of people still talk about it, called Beer and Tacos.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a huge, first of all, I remember Beer and Tacos being a party. Like, I remember it being a straight party. And then I remember later artists being introduced. Now, quote me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. That's
Right. So I remember standing in line because there used to be so many people outside. You guys were you guys in Lil 5 first?
Lil 5 on Euclid Ave.
Yep. And then I remember it being $5.95, and I remember introducing artists. Okay.
Yep.
So I know you aren't a person that is over Beer and Tacos, but how would you say, from your standpoint, how would you say that that's come together?
So I remember the first day Jers called me. And I forget why I didn't go, but I was supposed to go to the initial meeting in which they came up with the idea. I ended up not going, and I don't remember why, because I want to say I had a prior engagement.
Okay, so before we get into this convo, who are some of the people behind Beer and Tacos?
So Beer and Tacos, big homie Meshach, that's my big dog. Of course, KD, Jers, and then you got Big KD. So I would say those are like the four main guys in terms of putting things together.
Okay.
But I mean, you know, I would liken it to a family in terms of like a team that made it all relative to the city.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think we all contributed to it in our own way. And what I mean by that is like not just Katie and them, but Beer and Tacos, if you will, the extended family. Or you could say the Big O. But yeah. Well, no, let's say the Big O. The Big O pretty much is just kind of like everybody contributed to it in their own way.
Okay, so how did everybody per se come together, and what was like the intent behind coming together to create this platform?
I want to say at the beginning, Beer and Tacos was literally just supposed to be a party. It was something that I suppose that we were looking for people to engage in place of something else. I don't remember what that something else was, but I do know that it was intended just to be a party, and then it kind of grew beyond everybody's wildest dreams. So we started at Luna Nueva. I remember the first one, and it was packed. And then the second one, and it just kept growing. And then niggas started pulling up. And, you know, raps niggas started pulling up. And then, you know, after a while, it was just one big thing. It got to the point where we actually couldn't. I forget the reason why we had to get up out that spot. But I do remember it got to a point where it was just too big for that spot anyway. So, yeah, then we went to 595 North, and things kind of just took off from there.
I remember, boy, like 595 North, like you really had to get there. Like you had to make it a thing to get there early because you may be outside forever. So many people trying to get in.
Yeah, and you got to have some good juice to get inside too, because if them people don't know you, you're not getting in.
Okay. I know a lot of people say, like, on Twitter, like, you know, that we really don't, like, have these kind of platforms anymore. Okay. Or, like, kind of Beer and Tacos kind of set the tone. Also, yeah, a lot of people say Beer and Tacos kind of set the tone for a lot of showcases or concerts these days. Like, how do you feel about that?
I think that's constructive. I just want people to remain creative with what they're doing. I think that's kind of where we came from with it. You know, it was the odd thing about Beer and Tacos is we were saying beer and tacos. You know, that's not a typical combination.
Right.
You know? So I mean, even with that alone, that kind of just represents what we were thinking in terms of coming up with something like that. And don't be afraid to shoot in the dark. I tell niggas all the time, like, dog, it ain't nothing. It's all in how you present it. You know what I mean? So I would like to see, and I'm gonna say this personally, I would like to see more creative and more innovative events in the city. But you know, niggas got to come with it. I think the difference with us is we was hungry. Okay. You know, we wanted to. Well, let me not say we wanted, because I'm making it sound like we done or something. But we want to win. We want to be. We want to do the next biggest thing. We want to do the next best thing. We always thinking like, all right, what's creative, what's innovative. And with niggas that have full-fledged arguments, I don't want people to think like thought don't go into this. A great deal of thought goes into everything. So,
Right. That's so funny because I'm gonna tap into that because I want to pull up a Twitter conversation, but we gonna stick to you for right now.
What Twitter conversation you finna pull up?
We gonna see. Actually, let's go ahead and talk about it right now.
All right, what's
Let's
up?
go ahead and talk about it right now. So a couple of the people that's been around
Was
for
I in this
a while.
conversation?
No, you weren't in this conversation, but I'm gonna read it out. So the tweet started off the combo and said, "I could be wrong, but I think there was an era where a lot of thought and effort and dedication went into indie shows in Atlanta, and now niggas just do them just to do them." So then another tweet says, and I fuck with these folks, and it's not to start a debate or nothing crazy because I really took what they said. And I want to apply it. You know what I'm saying? Because these are people that I'm a curator myself, media personality, all of that. So I want to take it and apply it because y'all crawled, so a lot of things we do today can walk. You know what I'm saying? So what this other person says is, I think what's missing most about these indie shows in Atlanta is the curation of them. There's so many artists here, and a lot of these lineups be looking like a bunch of niggas who y'all picked up off the street. Take pride in who you pick, become a trusted voice. And then they were like, well, when y'all booking these artists, do y'all really believe they're eventually going to be some of the biggest, best acts in the country, not just some cool local shit? Because if you don't feel the former, don't book them. That's your name on the line too. So how do you just feel about the showcase scene from like then and now, or even just this conversation?
No, I agree with that.
But do you think like when they're saying people are doing so many shows and things like that, do you feel as if the togetherness is lacking in these times?
I'm not even gonna say the togetherness. I wouldn't use that word. What I would say is these events lack innovation.
Okay.
That's all I would say. I'll be saying, you know what I do like? The comedy show niggas got going on.
Hell yeah, ATL.
Yeah, I think that's creative. See, that's dope. That's the shit I'm talking about, though. We need more of that. It's like,
shout out to Mo and 6 Degrees.
I don't see niggas doing enough of that. You know what I mean? And we need that to push this forward. If I want, you know what I want niggas to stop doing? I want niggas to stop imitating things. Right?
Okay.
Like everybody rushes to imitate something, right? Because I feel like it's based on, well, that's the trend. You know, everybody wants to, all right, what was already done. All right, well, let's reference that.
Okay.
You get what I mean? But I tell niggas, don't be afraid to shoot in the dark, right? If you feel like you got something creative, man, go for it. You know, go for it.
Okay. I'm going to say this. I feel like from going out back then and now, I feel like it's so different. And I don't know if it's social media per se, but I feel like events and things now is about influencers. I feel like it's about influencers versus back then it was about promo teams.
It is, and I'll say this, back then, and when we talk about back then, we're not even talking about that long ago. We talking probably maybe
like 5 years ago.
4 years ago at the most. We were in a different space in terms of social media.
Right.
You get what I mean? Social media is we're a bit more graduated into it.
Like everybody's like social media, everybody has to be a brand. I feel like.
I mean, because everything is oriented behind the visual now.
Right.
You know, it ain't nothing wrong with that. I just feel like in terms of like culture, in terms of pushing culture, in terms of the city, right? There has to be a goal. There has to be a point that people are trying to prove. I think with us, we were trying to prove that we could get people to come back outside. I think with us, we were also trying to prove that we could do something innovative to really make a mark for who we were. And when I say that, you got to keep in mind, we originally Northerners. So Southerners, I remember when I first moved down here, it was just resistance because it's like, you know, they'll make fun of my accent. You know, it's like they're treating you like an outsider because it's like, man, you ain't from
y'all
here.
niggas made fun of us, shit. Y'all told us we country and slow and shit.
I mean, I ain't never particularly said that to nobody, but I mean, I understand where it's coming from. You know, even as a kid, I understood where it was coming from. But I mean, for us, it was just like trying to make it known, like, yo, we from here too. You know, y'all can't take that away from us. We didn't really have a choice over it. I couldn't tell my mama, nah, we ain't moving to Atlanta. It was whatever my mama said we were gonna do. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the case for all my niggas. So, I mean, people could say, "Oh, you from here? Go back." How we gonna go back?
True.
You get what I mean?
That's
so,
true.
nah, it's really just making the best of your situation. You know, I embraced Atlanta. I feel like, you know, in spite of my influences, my other influences, what I sound like, niggas feel like, to this day, niggas feel like I'm from New York, right? Because Atlanta,
I thought you were.
Atlanta niggas just associate everything above D.C. with New York. If you from above D.C., you from New York.
That's true.
Right? And that's really not the case. You get what I'm saying? It's so many states above D.C. But,
right.
I mean, you know, I respect it. I understand where it's coming from. So I always try to constructively take it in stride in terms of, like, you know, being ridiculed, if you will. But that's really where that shit come from. Just letting niggas know, like, look, man, y'all niggas ain't the only one here. And then more importantly, it's like, I personally had a vendetta to show niggas, like, the street gonna fuck with me. And they always do. Every time we do a cookout, every time we do a party, everybody step out to fuck with me. So, I mean, I prove my point time and time again. You get what I mean? So, I don't feel no need to code switch. I don't never feel a need to be anything other than what I am. Because even if you feel like, you know, if you're not rocking with my accent, you're not going to take away from the fact that I'm really from the city. And I was really outside in comparison to a lot of niggas. You know what I mean? But, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was a whole, I kind of remember that just influx of Northerners coming down here. It's always people traveling to Atlanta, don't get me wrong, but I do remember that specific era. Like, well, I'm going to say on my end, it was a lot of Northerners coming down here, and like, people from New York or up north were really immersed in fashion and stuff like that. So it was just like completely different. Hearing niggas talk all fast and niggas parents ain't having cars and shit. You know what I'm saying? Because they used to ride in the subway up there. So I know it was just like probably a huge culture shock.
Yo, not even to cut you off, I would like to see somebody talk about that. And what I mean is, I don't think in terms of city culture, I done seen all these documentaries break down every facet of Atlanta, except when we get to the, you know, we get on the subject of the great, what I call the great remigration. So you had a lot of Southerners who went to New York, and then they built families, they had kids, and then their kids moved back down here.
That is true, because my great aunts, like my grandparents' sisters and stuff, did all that. Right.
So it's something to be said about that, especially in terms of Atlanta. You get what I mean? We don't talk about how the East Side has had a great New York presence since the 80s.
That is
true.
So
this is nothing new going on. You got a lot of East Side niggas that's Jamaican, but they just sound country. But they Jamaican. You get what I mean? Or they, whatever, they Guyanese, they Trinidadian. But it's something to be said about, you know, there's been a lot of emphasis placed on the West Indian Northerner growing up. What about the West Indian Southerner? You get what I mean?
Okay.
And I ain't just talking about like, I ain't talking about like Miami niggas. Like Miami niggas essentially are Southern West Indians, right? I mean like a nigga growing up in a place like Atlanta from the islands. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody talks about that. I don't think anybody really, nobody has attempted to really get into why that even is.
Yeah. That's that is a good thing to touch on. If you're an artist or if you're an well, I hate that word influencer. If you want to have a conversation with Spill the Tea, hit me up, and definitely we do need to touch up on that.
Absolutely.
Like, what would you want people to know about just that person that's like from the West Indies and has like a northern background that came from the South?
It's an entire
that came to the South.
I think it hasn't played into maybe the fabric of the city in terms of music and fashion and things like that.
You don't think so? I think it's starting to. It's starting to, like, as of now. Probably like, I'm going to say it's probably starting to as of 2018, 2019, because now, I don't know how long Igloo Atlanta's been here, but I know.
I was about to bring that up. Like, yeah, you got shit like Igloo, and that's a start, and I'm proud, because shout out my nigga Prince. I'll be at every Igloo. But other than that, you know what I mean? Because then, see, you can still say, even in terms of Igloo, there's still a carnival here. They got a Guyana Day in Clarkston, right? I'm aware of all of that. What I'm saying is just in terms of media in terms of portraying the city, that really ever seldom gets talked about. You get what I mean?
I got you.
And what I would, to answer your question and to be more definitive, what I would like to see talked about specifically is the reason for the migration, where it became so prominent. Like, I know a lot of guys that's their parents, if not them, are originally from elsewhere, who's living on the east side or on the west side. It don't matter. A lot of people I meet in Atlanta, if they not from here, their parents not from here.
Right.
So it's not one of them situations where people can necessarily gripe about, oh, y'all niggas ain't from Atlanta. A lot of people originally not from Atlanta. So at some point we got to sit down and say, all right, well, this is going to be the culture.
But do you think a lot of people move to Atlanta because of, I guess how cheap more affordable the living is?
I think a lot of people move to Atlanta for a number of reasons. I think part of it is exactly what you're saying. The cost of living is cheaper than, say, northern states or anywhere else. But another reason is the superficiality about Atlanta. Like, it's called Black Hollywood.
Right.
So a lot of people move here looking for opportunity. I meet people all the time from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And, my first question is, what are you doing here?
Exactly.
And it's always, man, I came to get a shot. I came to get on. So I would say I see more of that happening than I see people just coming and say, oh, we want to live in Atlanta for the sake of cost of living. I see more people coming and just be like, man, I'm looking for an opportunity.
Yeah, that is definitely true. A lot of people, especially because I was just telling someone, like, since I've started doing shows these past couple of years, like, majority of the people at my shows are people from other states or other cities, and they'll come somewhere because I'm for, like, the startup creatives and stuff like that. So they'll come to the shows that I have looking to meet other people or looking for other opportunities. So I definitely feel that. Another thing I want to touch on is your project.
Yeah, so what's up?
Yeah, so like I was saying, I love the extra EP. Guyana Go, I had to go back and do some digging. Okay, now let's start off because you went from now correct me if I'm wrong. I remember Guyana Go, extra EP, Bring Money With You. That's what I remember.
Yep, that's exactly how that happened.
Okay,
that's exactly how that happened.
Guyana Go, I remember because extra is with you and Johnny Cinco, so I know the cover couldn't be. Well, I'm going to say this. Your cover art has always been, naked women. So it was on the Guyana Go, it was a naked woman, and she had, like, a gun and a Henny bottle at the bottom. But then when you go to Bring Money With You, which was dropped when? In, like, 2018 officially? 2017. So then you go to Bring Money With You, right. And it's the stripper, and she has, like, her body is painted. So just to explain, like, why such provocative cover art.
I wanted something. I'm so glad you asked this too, because I haven't really had the grand opportunity to really explain myself.
Okay.
So in terms of my artwork is really reflective of my life. Everything I do is reflective of my life. The thing with women and the reference to women is pretty much that in every level of my music career, there has been a woman involved. To some capacity, right?
Okay.
More so for the sake of support, intimacy. Sometimes it really just depends. But I mean, with me, my whole reasoning behind doing that is generally to celebrate women.
Okay, so I got this question. So you've always had, like, a woman supporting you, but I feel like you kind of played on this persona that you love strippers.
Right. So Bring Money With You was a project, again, based on actual life. And I got inspired to write that project because at the time I was dating an exotic dancer. And it kind of caused me to think, because when I actually looked back, I had a history of dealing with exotic dancers. So it wasn't really even by design. It was just something that one day I thought about it and I realized, like, hey man, you've been dealing with a lot of strippers, right? And rather than shun it, I just decided to talk about it, and be realistic. And then I'm gonna tell you something else. The project wasn't even definitively about strippers.
Okay.
It was kind of using that as a loose theme. It was kind of loosely basing that on that. But originally I had got the idea to do the project because at the time the girl I was dating, she wasn't too confident about what she was doing. And I would ask her, I said, yo, is this something you really want to do? And, she say, yeah, I do want to do it. So I'm like, yo, well, you got to do it with the utmost confidence. And me, me personally, I'm a solution-oriented person. So I'm thinking as the boyfriend, like, what can I do to help? without being too hands-on and you know, still giving you your space. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to do what I'm good at. And I said, you know, I'll theme the project as to build your confidence. So I wanted her to see that, yo, I'm in full swing behind whatever you got going on. That was pretty much my whole thing behind it. And it was kind of just me accepting, I guess, after a while that I guess I did have an affinity for exotic dancers. And the reason for that is just they more down to earth. You know, like when I meet a conservative woman and we'll have a conversation, and it'll be cool. There's nothing wrong with being conservative. But then it's like it's such a much more realistic conversation, and you cutting through a lot of other shit when you dealing with somebody who was just used to dealing with men in their primal element. You get what I mean? Not to say that I'm always dealing with women in a primal state. What I mean is they understand me more like realistically they understand, and they're more to life, if that makes sense. So I realized that has less to do with strippers and more so to do with the preference of women.
Got you.
But,
okay.
you know, it just so happens that a lot of the people that I would say jailed with, a lot of the women that I jailed with happen to be exotic dancers. So at the end of the day, man, I try to reflect that. I try to do something that niggas is not doing. I'm going to say this. I come from Atlanta, right? And I was thinking in terms of like, well, yo, what's something I could do that would be true to me, that would also represent the city, and I'm not really losing any integrity on it, you know? Because I don't feel like, at least in my opinion, I don't feel like I've done anything that's not tasteful, at least. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do these bold covers, but they're always tasteful. I don't got a bitch just spread eagle just showing it, hang all out. Like, I'm pretty much meticulous about it. But yeah.
So when we went to Guyana Gold, okay, so when I had to go back to Guyana Gold, it's just something I really kind of felt from that project. And then on top of that, you had like Key, who was like just killing it, man. Like he is doing his thing. Mariba, I may be missing out on some people, but what was Guyana Gold like for you?
So Guyana Gold, it was funny as, you know what's funny is a lot of people, they'll tell me, hey man, Guyana Gold, that's my favorite project for me.
I've heard that too.
And the funny thing is, while I was recording Guyana Gold, it was really just, I don't know, I was in a dark place in life, you know, and we was young, pretty much fending for ourselves, not really knowing how to do much of anything. So Guyana Gold really came by way of us just figuring shit out. In terms of the music, it was, again, me figuring shit out. Like, that was my first time challenging myself in terms of song structure, in terms of building something cohesive, in terms of having like themed records, in terms of staying consistent with a theme, cutting my teeth for a lot of things that followed, I guess.
Okay. Like, what would you say was your relationship with like Key and Two-9 at the time?
So I've been knowing Key and Kurt maybe since high school.
Okay.
And I linked with Kurt. Kurt used to send me beats all the time. That's really how we met.
Okay.
And one day I had pulled up on them, and we really just hit it off. I came back around, at which point Key was, at the time it wasn't even Two-9, it was Pilot Music.
Okay.
And, you know, Key was just telling me, like, bro, I need you to get down. I need you to be a part of what we got going on.
So you were a part of?
I had joined Pilot Music. Yeah.
Okay.
The thing about it is this, though, is like, I didn't know none of them prior to, you know, I knew Kurt, but other than that, I didn't really know none of them. And I knew Key. The thing is, I was coming from a totally different side of the tracks. So I'm used to my music not being heard, and you got to keep in mind, I'm still being portrayed at this time as like the northerner down south. So a lot of people just cold on me for the simple fact it's as simple as an accent. They were like the first to listen to what I was doing and really approach it with a genuine affinity for it, or a genuine, they really fucked with it, you know what I mean? And to my surprise, I was like, yo, these are a group of guys who I don't know from a can of paint, but they really fucking with what I got going on. And, you know, it's been, it went from there. I don't really know what else to call that, you know, because we still homies. We ain't break up or nothing.
Okay, so you still have a really tight relationship. I know, you know, Kurt doing the cookout really soon. Shout out to that.
ATC
so you
weekend.
Still have a relationship with, what is your relationship with Key like now?
Key be on the road, so it's like I see him every now and again. You know, that's still my boy. And then here's the thing too. It's like when I get with Key, niggas are complaining, you don't take enough pictures, but these are my homeboys,
right?
For real. So
you ain't got to do it for the ground,
right? Like I don't be around them thinking to like put it on Instagram all the time. Like that don't even be my go-to. Because when I see niggas, it's like, oh, it's my homeboy. You get what I mean? I see KD all the time. I don't think to put KD on the camera
Right.
every time I see him. It's
He
the
don't
same
even take
concept.
pictures now that I think of it.
He don't with his black ass. But you get what I'm saying.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? It's the same concept. So it's like when you see niggas, man, it's just love. You know, we kick it, we chill. The last time I seen he was in the studio.
Okay. How did you meet Mariba? I heard she went by like a different name back then.
Miriam Mariba. So the first time I witnessed Miriam Mariba was when she opened up at a homecoming, forgive me, Spelman homecoming. And she was playing a guitar while she was singing. It was dope though. Like you I can't even describe it to you that had been there. But it was dope. And ever since then I just kept her name fresh in my mind. I looked up her music after that. And then we had the pleasure of meeting eventually. And yeah, one thing we ended up doing some music. I don't know what she got going on recently, but you know.
She's on the Dreamville project.
Okay, I heard about that. Yeah,
I know. I believe she was on tour earlier, and her voice. I just love her because her voice is just so like
right.
it's like
very
a soulful
angelic.
but angelic,
Very
right?
angelic,
It's
yeah.
like a mix of that. So I really love her.
Absolutely.
What's your relationship with Spillage Village?
I don't really have no relationship with Spillage Village, at least not anymore. And the reason for that is, well, really, you have to ask them. I don't really know.
So what was it back then?
Me and bro had a misunderstanding.
Who is bruh?
Jid.
Okay.
We had a misunderstanding, and it was just never really the same after that. I don't really know. And, you know, me trying to be diplomatic about the situation, I didn't necessarily press it. You know, when I seen him in person, I asked him about it, and, you know, I mean, we spoke. He said something. I can't really tell you what was even said because it was, I don't know, he kind of talking in circles. But I don't got no problem with them. I wish them the best, you know, because we came up with them.
Right.
At the same time, I ain't really heard from nobody. You know, I don't speak to nobody from over there. So, I mean, I wish them the best. you know.
How did you become friends with? Okay, so Jid and who else? When you say them.
So Spillville is Earth Gang, Jid.
I know. I just want you to explain for like the audience.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, niggas know who Spillville is at this point. You know what I mean? We had came up together in the underground, but I don't know. I don't really know what to even make of that situation because there's still a lot of unanswered questions that I got for them guys, and you know we'll answer them when I see them. But
okay,
I don't really know what to say about it right now. If it's some animosity, I ain't heard none.
Okay, so it just is what it is. That's cool.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite songs you got is called "My Job." It's like my job is to not get caught.
Yeah.
Your job is to
My
catch
nigga
me.
Childish Major.
So Childish Major, and he's doing really big things, and I
Yeah.
love everything he puts out. I know he went from like, you know, producing, and I know he's like actually doing music. So like, what's your relationship with Childish Major?
I haven't worked with Childish in a minute either. To be completely honest with you, just with everything I got going on musically and with everything everybody else got going on musically, I couldn't tell you where I stand in the midst of that. I try not to ostracize myself. I try to make myself accessible as possible. So, I mean, the door open. You know, if you would have asked me what they got going on or what's the correlation or if there is any correlation of some sort between us at this current moment, no. But, I mean, you know, I tell niggas all the time the door's open. And, you know, I ain't hard to find. So if somebody want to, if Marcus want to reach out to me or any of y'all Spillville niggas want to get at me, y'all know where to find me.
Yep, y'all know where to find him. So Childish Major, how did y'all link up for My Job?
So that was just getting in the studio and doing it. That didn't have nothing to do with nothing else. That was getting in the studio and doing it. He gave me another record, and then we ended up not going with that record. And then he was like, yo, I got one for you. And so I came to the studio one day. Actually, you know what? I did not come to the studio one day. He came and picked me up from my house. And why I remember that is because he got a ticket on the way to my house.
Damn.
But no, basically, he pulled up. He came and got me from the crib. And we came back to the studio, and we worked on that one organically. No distractions, just me and him.
Yeah, I could tell. Like that was it. Like I still love that song to this day. Now, how did you and Johnny Cinco link up and make this EP? Because it was kind of like you don't really see too many collab projects where you can't even say that was like a Nique project featuring Cinco or Cinco featuring Nique. That was actually a real collab project. So how did y'all link together for that?
So I've been on Five for a minute, maybe since we was teenagers. Like I was telling you, we used to throw parties. And Five, we used to do parties with his team. So I've been knowing Five since from like back in the day on some hood shit. But basically,
Okay, so y'all call Cinco Five. I'm like, wait, Spanish.
I mean,
got
I know
you.
him at Five. Like when Five first started adopting that name, we used to call him J5, but
Okay.
he Johnny Cinco. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we been knowing each other, and so he used to come in the Fly Kicks. You know, I used to be the assistant manager at Fly Kicks
On Peters.
on Peter Street.
Okay.
And, you know, it was just like, Nique, what we doing? And one day I came up to the studio. I kept coming. You know, it kept coming. And before you know it, we had a whole project. And we was like, man, we finna do this thing. And, you know, what's funny? I didn't even, it's weird for me because as an artist looking from the inside, outside, it's hard to kind of gauge the reaction, at least for me. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when we put out Extra EP, people love it now, but I think that took a period of time because I remember when it first came out, people seemed slow on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, you know, as time progressed.
That one
grew
caught
more
me
and more.
immediately.
I was on, you know what? I'll say this, though. We did a pop-up. And it was really on some short notice shit. And we said, yo, we could do a pop-up probably tomorrow. If we can make it happen tomorrow, let's make it happen tomorrow. And I think the next day came, we got together, we spoke. We had maybe 9 hours to put that event together. We ended up bringing, don't give me the line. I want to say we brought about 400 people.
Damn.
So yeah, in 9 hours, and that was right when it came out.
Damn. I remember this is when I like started coming out to the cookouts and to a lot of stuff you was doing. I remember it was a video shoot y'all was doing. I don't think he made it, but I remember like everybody being so excited. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right in the hood. I know exactly what you're talking about. Mechanicsville. Yeah, he didn't make it. But we was supposed to do another one, and then we ended up not doing that one either. So
do you still have a relationship with Johnny Cinco?
Yeah, I mean, we speak every now and again. There ain't no bad blood between me and Five. It's just he got what he got going on, and I got what I got going on. We've spoken about doing an extra two, and, you know, he's already confirmed that he with it. It's just a matter of doing it.
Okay. So after the extra EP,
Right.
Something that I really want to talk about, because I'm for the indies, you know what I'm saying? I'm the voice of the indies. I'm for the artists, pretty much like learning, just like, okay, everybody wants to rap, but do you want to actually learn like the business of rap? Do you want to learn how to have longevity? I would more so say. So I remember seeing a tweet, and you tweeted something along the lines of, I've been signed to Atlantic for 6 months, but I haven't made an announcement, or I haven't said nothing, or it was something along those lines. Now you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, we had signed. We signed, and then I just didn't say anything for a little while. And I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Okay.
We shouldn't have said anything, because after we said something, it made everybody feel like we had made it or something. We hadn't made it. We simply had got a situation to execute. And that situation ended up not working out. So I want to clear that up too, because I feel like maybe a lot of people thought that I had signed like some big ass record contract, and that wasn't the case. We signed a distribution deal.
Okay.
So that was supposed to.
So
run through.
Explain to people what a distribution deal is,
So
or
basically,
what was it in your terms?
a distribution deal is like a company, you licensing your music to a company for them to release it exclusively. So basically, that's like me giving you permission to say, Teacup, you're the only one that can sell this. You get what I mean? You would be distro. So anything I turn in, I give to you, and then you disperse. And then we make the money, and then we bust it down on the back end. But, yeah, even to just divulge on that situation, like, we signed a distro deal, and then me and us being excited because we had never signed, and we'd never done anything like that. I was excited to let niggas know, like, look, nigga, we popping. We shouldn't have did that. We should have just kept working and let niggas see the results. So I tell niggas all the time, like, good news, keep it to yourself, because you can don't mean you should.
Okay, so when you sign that deal, the distribution deal, let's be specific. When you sign that distribution deal, I know you had been promoting Bring Money With You for forever. It was like one of them Frank Ocean type situations, you know what I'm saying, where he was like, well, we've been waiting on new music for so long. He's like, all right, it's coming. Yeah. We got a new album coming soon. We got it coming soon. Yeah. So, just what happened with that extended process of it being released?
Basically what happened is it was just some miscommunication between us and the label, right?
Okay.
Like that's ultimately what I'll chalk it up to. And, I'll say this, I ain't finna badmouth nobody up there because at the end of the day, they gave us a shot. Right? It just didn't work out, and that's, it is what it is. I'm glad it happened, actually, because we were able to learn from it. Prior to that, we didn't have no label experience. We didn't know how that process worked. We didn't know how none of that shit worked. So I'm glad that we went through it because we got to see firsthand the system, everything everybody had been telling us up until that point, all the advice we had gotten about dealing with labels. Up until that point, we didn't know.
Right.
So going into it, we got to kind of apply everything that we had known to the situation.
Okay, so we is you, Katie, and Jers.
Right. So when I say we a lot because I don't want people to feel like I just did it alone. And don't get me wrong, even though I am my own man and I do a lot on my own, I'm never going to take that away from my brothers who help.
Okay.
But yeah, I say we a lot because they came with me. We was all in that meeting together. So, one thing led to another. Basically, we turned in the project. We couldn't necessarily come to terms on what to do creatively behind the project.
So did they give you like a budget to work on the project, of course?
I mean, yeah, that's that's with every label situation, depending on what you negotiate. Because I'm gonna tell you this too, it ain't about what you deserve; it's about what you negotiate.
Right.
So, in knowing that, we went into the deal knowing that, and we kind of played it like that. We learned a lot in turn, and then I say, getting out of it, I'm happy to know so much more so that I'm able to do it alone, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did y'all even land in that meeting with Atlantic? Like, how was the approach? Like, what kind of noise were you making? Like, how did you land in that situation?
Shout out to OG Dante Ross. So Dante Ross he emailed us, I believe. I guess he couldn't get a line on nobody, but he emailed us and he was just like,
okay, so we got to break this all the way down because it's a lot of people that email artists, you know what I'm saying, about signing labels, and they make them pay something up front. Like, when you say email, like what was that process? Because like it's fucking I had a fucking Def Jam emailing me talking about I could sign to a label, and I'm like, I'm not even a fucking artist.
I mean, yeah, I still get them kind of emails. It was us just really trying to see what was up. And then by that time, it made sense for that to be happening because we had been talking to so many labels, right? Like
so many labels like?
TIG. We was gonna do TIG. We sat down with QC. We sat down with RCA. We sat down with some independent cats. We sat down with a bunch of people.
So Atlantic made the most sense.
Atlantic made the most sense just in terms of, well, at the time I thought in terms of longevity and in terms of the next 18 months. So I had this thing where I was just like, I was focused on the next 18 months. I wasn't really worried about 2 to 5 years. I'm just worried about the next 18 months, right? If you can last the next 18 months and you can stay consistent, then you're really setting yourself up to run however long. That's how I saw it, you know what I mean? So when we signed that situation, I kind of went into it with that, you know what I mean? I didn't want too much I didn't take a big advance, you know. I was keen on keeping my publishing, keeping shit like that. So it worked out, and I don't want people to think it was a bad deal. Like, it wasn't no bad situation. I can't really get into the details, but it wasn't a bad situation by a long shot. At the end of the day, I would say that ended more so based on creative differences. You know, I know a lot of niggas, they'll get in interviews and they'll throw the label under the bus. And I could, but I won't, you know what I mean? Just on some tasteful shit. But yeah, I mean, it was a learning experience all the same, so I don't really regret it at all. Damn,
you turned down QC though? Damn.
I'm going to say this. We didn't necessarily even turn down QC. It was just kind of like one of them situations where I'm going to say this. I don't feel like we gave it enough time to even let that play out. We was on some shit to where it's like, yo, what's the smartest option? And we chose one. You get what I mean? So yeah. I didn't wait. Well, let me not say that. I did wait a little bit, but you know. You know what? I can't even tell you why that didn't come into fruition because I don't remember. All I remember is us getting that situation, offered that situation. We called bruh. No, bruh called us actually, explained what it was. He came down to meet us. You know, we chilled, got to know him a little bit, and then we decided like, all right, well, you know, let's go forward with this. Everything was a collective decision. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for breaking that down for us, because I know a lot of your core fans were really wondering like what had happened with that situation, and because now that you're explaining, that's the reason why you couldn't put it out, and you were probably promoting it for so long. And
Right.
as you just mentioned, I do remember you not performing, you know what I'm saying? Like not
Right.
really being on the scene. Now, do you think that has changed, like since you haven't been on the scene for that period of time, do you think that has changed like your fan base, or just changed the way people respond to like you as an artist?
I would say it's the latter. Is how people are responding to me as an artist differently. I think that's good and bad though. A lot of people, maybe some fans initially when we started out, it was based on hype, but really me gauging where I am now, I don't think much of it was solely based on hype. You know, I still got a lot of the same guys. Like I don't really think I lost no fans, to be honest with you. Like,
Okay.
when I put out music, it's pretty much still the same level of engagement. Like everybody is like, yeah, we need more of this. We need more of this. So, I mean, all I'm doing right now is staying consistent. Yeah.
Okay, and last but not least, we finally get to BMW. Bring money with you.
Oh, yeah.
I remember coming to the release party at Magic City, I believe.
Oh, yeah, you was there.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, bro. I've been a fan. Like I was a heavy Money Makin Nique fan. I was at everything I could be at, for real.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
Yes, of course. What was one of my favorite songs was called like, what's it called? Like Applehead or some shit like that.
Okay, Applehead, yeah.
Yep, that was one of my favorite songs. So just tell us a little bit about that project in itself.
Like I was saying, like Bring Money With You was pretty much loosely based on kind of I would say just it was based on The Exotic Dancer, loosely though, you know. So I would make references, certain songs, when you hear them, you understand exactly what I'm referring to. On the skits, I had dancers, you know what I'm saying, doing the interludes and shit. The cover was shot by my girlfriend at the time, who was a dancer. So I wanted to make it woman-oriented in every way. You get what I mean? Like, I'd say women helped me design that project. There wasn't no niggas really involved on that one. It was women who pretty much brought that to life. You get what I mean?
I get exactly
and
what
of
you mean.
course, I got my niggas, but it's like we got to get that one to the women that were really involved, because without them, it wouldn't have been shit. You get what I mean?
I get exactly.
In terms of like doing skits, people coming to the studio, people pulling up, even us recording, right? Because y'all heard what was final. You know, there's so many other songs we recorded for Bring Money With You that just never saw the light of day. But you get what I mean. It's a lot that went into the process of recording that project. I'm proud of it, but I think I could do something better.
Okay.
You know what I mean? With this next shit, it's so much. It's what I've been trying to do lately is just kind of quantize everything I really want to get into, everything I want to expound on, because it's a combination. It's everything I've been going through for maybe the last 2-3 years accumulated into one thing. So I've been trying to figure out like what's the best way to kind of approach that without overthinking it, but at the same time wanting to give something innovative that niggas ain't really did yet, you know. And that's kind of where I come from with the cover art. Like, I don't see nobody doing that, you know. In terms of representing Atlanta, I think I'm embodying Atlanta in the culture we talking about generally in terms of rap culture when I put a strip on the cover. You get what I mean? Like, I don't feel like I'm left field with that at all. I feel like that's an accurate portrayal of the city right here and now. Maybe the music is different, but I also think that's a good thing too. I don't sound like no nigga. I got my own kind of aesthetic. I don't feel like niggas can take away from, you know what I mean, from what I'm doing. I
agree. I completely agree. You do have your own aesthetic, and that's very symbolic to like the hip hop culture, because a lot of music even breaks in the strip club. Right. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna say, dang, I just had a brain fart. But what I was gonna say was, now that you know, I know you were saying you having this new music is gonna be something different.
Right.
Would you call yourself having like a rebrand? 'Cause I know you're coming now, as you said, just Nique.
Yeah.
So.
Not necessarily a rebrand, because I'm still keeping current with some themes that I was already doing, right? A definite rebrand just in terms of output, a definite rebrand in terms of consistency, but not so much just the content, because I don't feel there wasn't really an issue with content. I think our main issue was consistency. We couldn't, and we really wasn't at liberty to follow up, because we was doing shit out of our own pockets. And then, you know, one thing I've learned, music is motherfucking expensive.
Expensive as
So
fuck.
it's like,
You saw, what's his name, talking about, even though that's just one portion of music, you saw Coach K talking about how it costs almost $200K
to put something on the radio,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, shit get high, and people don't really take that into account. It's like, man, we doing it out of our own pockets.
Mm-hmm.
We're paying for shit out of our own pockets. So knowing that, it's like, then you still gotta survive, right? You still gotta live. You still gotta keep a roof over your head. So I would say a lot of it was us not having access to certain things. Us finally figuring out that we even needed access to certain things in order to move to the next level. You get what I mean?
I get exactly what you mean.
Right.
You had like a huge reference too. Like I feel like you used to reference BMWs a lot, or
Right. Mm-hmm.
like a specific car. Like what was behind that?
It's a couple things behind that. One, that go back to that West Indian thing. We grew up on BMWs. Like my mother drove a BMW. My mother's boyfriend drove a BMW. When I got old enough to have a car legally, I drove a BMW. You get what I mean? So it was something that's just always near and dear to my heart growing up. It's a childhood thing. When we was kids, that was the dope boy car, a BMW. So you see a nigga pulling up in like a 740 IL
Mm-hmm.
with the cell phone in it. You know what I mean? I remember seeing that as a kid, and I remember seeing the dope boy pull up in that. We wanted that, you know what I mean? And then being originally from up top, these were West Indian drug dealers. These were niggas that's from the islands. If you go to the islands, it's pretty much the same concept. You see foreigners. It ain't islanders. We don't really buy into American cars. You get what I mean?
Right.
Usually when it's an islander, you're dealing with Acura, Lexus, Toyota, BMW, Benz. You get what I mean? Something
Learning.
foreign. That's just the culture.
Okay.
So it's us pretty much incorporating the culture into what it is we got going on. You know, like I feel like I'm true to the city, but at the same time, I take elements from where I come from and I incorporate them into what I got going on to represent the city, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, niggas ain't never really, talked about that aspect again. It goes back to that West Indian thing. So that's just us trying to represent, you know what I mean?
Okay. Well, I'm glad I got to pull a couple things out of you and just learn about a lot about West Indian culture, just you moving from the north to the south.
Yeah.
Man, let people know where they can find your music, because I have a hard time finding all the good shit.
Okay, so wait, let me explain something right fast, right? So I switched distribution. And
Okay.
in switching distribution, they had to take everything down, which means I have to put everything back up. So on some independent shit, if you're an independent artist, and every independent artist knows this by this point if you've been releasing music. If you switch distro companies, the distro company's going to take it down. And then when you pick up another one, they're going to put it back up. But that's all based on you and you handling your business. But, yeah, so I want everybody to know that it is coming soon. I know people have been calling me. People have been texting me, complaining like, hey, man, I was looking for Guyana Gold online the other day. I ain't see it. I'm like, look, man, give me a couple weeks to be back up.
Oh.
And then some. I'm going to put some more shit up there. Yeah.
Okay, well, we can't wait. Let us know we can find you on social media.
Money Makin Nique on everything. MonyMakin Nique. That's on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Do niggas even use Snapchat anymore?
I believe like the younger generation probably uses Snapchat. I know I don't, because you got
If you on
IG.
Snapchat, I'm Money Makin Nique. Facebook. Really, you could Google Money Makin Nique and everything gonna pop up. Yeah.
Hey, make sure you follow my boy Money Makin Nique. Make sure you follow me.
Absolutely.
Through the teacup. Make sure you subscribe right down below. I am the voice of the indies. Keep you updated with who's who, especially in the underground scene. Shout out to my girl Favor behind the lens, and we out.